All right, well, good morning. Thanks for being here this morning for this, what I consider to be a very exciting announcement. It's been in the works for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months probably we've been working on this, Charles. We wanted to wait until after the election to roll it out just because there was a lot going on the last few weeks, and now I feel we can shine a little bit of a spotlight on the topic of food insecurity in our community, and some things that we're doing as a city to help address that. When we talk about quality of life factors, we often talk about green space, and we talk about parks access and good public transportation. Well, food security is increasingly becoming a part of that conversation as well. And we know through community needs assessment surveys that we've done that Sioux Falls, we're not real great on consuming nutritious foods. We can do better with our dietary habits here in Sioux Falls. And that is only compounded by right now the cost of food. Think of even like what's happened to eggs and trying to get some eggs in your diet the last couple months has been very challenging based on the cost of that, the cost of produce, the cost of beef, inflation. And so when you have difficult food access on top of inflation, a lot of times healthy options become simply not realistic for a lot of families. In the city of Sioux Falls, we know that we have 8 different census tracts that have been qualified as food access areas, in what we call food access priority areas. I don't like the term food desert. The term food desert implies a high level of urgency. We've had food deserts in this community for decades. And I think you will always have areas that are qualified as food deserts, quote unquote. What we like to call them is what the federal government calls them is food access priority areas. And those are those 8 tracts. And you can see on the screen right here where this was compounded recently was in track, let's see, it's right over in track 2 there, 2.02. When Hy-Vee closed there earlier, several months ago now, that really created a whole large food access priority area with the closure of that Hy-Vee. And so we've had a lot of conversations with different providers, the Hy-Vees, Aldi's, Fairways, all different sorts of different providers. And those conversations are ongoing with some of them. There is interest by some of those providers in some of these some of these tract areas. Most recently, there's a new natural foods that's going to be opening on Louise. Doesn't fall into one of these tract areas, but I think that's a good indicator of the market, showing that there's demand in Sioux Falls for more grocery options and more fresh food options, of which natural foods is going to be. And so, as you know from the way I've tried to approach problems in the first 4 years, I very much am a free market economy person. Let the market be the market. So if there's food access priority areas here, then if I'm a capitalist or if I'm a grocery provider, I see an opportunity there. Well, sometimes the market needs a little bit of a jump start, a little bit of help to make sure that that those factors come together, and that there is different organizations that maybe want to be a part of helping us create a solution to the food access problem. So today we are announcing a project. Oops, I'm going to back up here. We're announcing a project which we're calling Eat Well Sioux Falls. Kind of falls out of our Live Well Sioux Falls program. It's going to be led by our public health team. And the long and short of it is that we are providing up to $400,000 in one-time grant funding to organizations, grocery stores, food service providers who can help us identify and meet food access priority needs in these 8 designated tracts. So let me give you just a couple real examples. So we have a fund with $400,000 in it. Let's say, for sake of discussion, someone in track 10.01 wants to put a small grocery store there, but they need $100,000 to make the land assemblage work or to renovate a building. or to do something to make the small grocery store concept work in that market. They can apply for these funds. We'll review it, make sure it fits with what we're trying to accomplish with increasing specifically fresh food access, and they could be eligible for those dollars. Let's say a grocery store provider provides delivery services, but those delivery services come with a cost. For some families, that cost is cost prohibitive for them to use those service options. They may even not have good connectivity, which speaks to a whole nother topic of our Digital Equity Alliance, trying to ensure we have good connectivity in our community. But a grocery store provider may say, hey, can we apply to use the funds from the Eat Well Sioux Falls program to cover our delivery costs, so that those delivery costs are waived for people that live in these food access priority areas. We certainly would consider ideas like that. So essentially it's a $400,000 grant that it will allow different organizations to come up with innovative ideas, innovative solutions to solve food barrier access issues in those 8 tracts. Up to $400,000. There could be no one who applies. There could be one organization that wants $350,000. There could be 8 that all need $50,000. We don't know. We don't know what's going to come in from this because it's a new program for the city. Something that we have done on a similar vein, though, it's not the same, but it's similar, is what we call our Facade Easement program in downtown. So it's a pot of money that we have available every year for businesses to apply. Say, hey, I need $50,000 to finish the tuck pointing on the front of my historic building downtown to maintain that. I need $100,000 to finish a cornice, on a building at 10th and Phillips, and we provide those dollars to keep the historic character. The city gets an easement on the front of that building. So this is similar in that we have a pot of money available that these organizations can apply for with innovative ideas and solutions. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our Public Health Director, Dr. Charles Chima. Charles is going to tell you a little bit more about how the program works, how people can apply, and how organizations can get involved with this. So, Charles?
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Paul, for the opportunity to join you in this announcement this morning. As the mayor pointed out, food access is an important social determinant of health. And, think about it this way, right? We often tend to think about healthy eating as a factor of individual choice, right? People choose what to eat. But in many ways, the environment constrains your choice. You can only choose from what is available to you, right? So if you live in a neighborhood where your options are perhaps gas stations or little convenience stores by the corner of the street, well, those are the choices you have. And oftentimes, especially when people are low income or they may not have a means of transportation, then that becomes a real barrier because, you might say, oh, there is another grocery store in Sioux Falls. Why can't they get there? Well, not everyone has that choice to, that ability or the means to get to the other store. So that's part of why this criteria are established by USDA to kind of assess what they understand as the distance people will travel to access food. So what this grant really seeks to do is to eliminate those environmental constraints to make it easier for people to at least have the choice. And then we can get into more education and awareness and health promotion to help people know how to shop properly and to choose healthy options when they go to do grocery shopping. But one important question one might ask is why even care about this in the first place? Why is it important to care that people eat healthy? The obvious answer comes back to length of life and quality of life, right? We know that in the US, about 70%, that's 7 in 10 deaths, are a result of chronic diseases. And in our community, just like in many communities in the US, heart disease and cancer are the 2 top leading causes of death, along with other chronic diseases. Dietary behaviors are one of the major modifiable risk factors. And modifiable means something we can do, something we can change, right? So along with smoking, harmful use of alcohol. So diet is one of the 4 major modifiable risk factors for chronic diseases. So what we're really seeking to do here as a community is to remove those environmental constraints that affect people's ability to make the right choice when it comes to what is good for their health and for the health of the community. So from recent community health assessments, we've seen, again, I think Mayor pointed this out, that our community has a long way to go when it comes to improving our dietary behaviors. And again, this is an important risk factor for cancers, for heart disease, for diabetes, and obesity. In the state as a whole, the state of South Dakota, only about 13% of the population meets the guidelines when it comes to fresh food, vegetables and fruits. Only about, just a little above 1 in 10, consuming the amount of fruit and vegetables that is considered adequate for a healthy diet. And in our community, it's not very much different. So this is an opportunity for us to continue to move the community in a direction where everyone has a fair access to be able to make the healthy choices. So with regards to how we envisage the program would work, one thing to consider is that, first of all, we're hoping this is pending approval from the City Council. So we look forward to the appropriation from the City Council to make this grant work. However, once we have that taken care of, something we'll be looking out for when we receive applications is equity and sustainability. And this is important because we're not just looking for a one-time, charitable distribution of produce. Like the mayor pointed out, what you're looking for is a sustainable solution, right, where we address some of those market frictions that then make it in a way that this is sustainable in the long term. It's not just about going out and giving out some free produce. It's about solving that market barrier so that people in these communities can continue to have access to these resources, even 5 years from now. So it's not something that we hope we just provide one-time access and goes away. So we'll be looking for how innovative, but as well as the plans, the organization or other private or non-profits has to make this program sustainable. So if they're putting a new store, what is the long-term funding plan to see that the store is viable? If it's a program that it doesn't involve a store, again, what is the long-term plan to make it sustainable? And equity in the sense that it has to be in such a way that everyone has access to be able to utilize this program or this new grocery store option, irrespective of their income level. So, for example, even if they're covered by food stamps or WIC or any of the other public benefits, they should be able to use those resources to secure healthy produce from this store option. So we'll be looking out for sustainability, we'll be looking out for equity. Because ultimately it matters that the solutions we provide are solutions that are enduring and not solutions that will go away after a short period of time. So one question people might have then is, how do I apply for this program? And if you get on the city's website, so you go to siouxfalls.org/eatwell, again, which is the name we're giving to the program, Eat Well Sioux Falls. So siouxfalls.org/eatwell. And then you find the application form. It will give you very detailed guidelines on what you need to put in to apply. If you have any questions, you'll find an email on that link, livewell@siouxfalls.org. You can send us an email and we'll be happy to clarify or address your questions. Again, look forward to the council appropriation and be very excited to receive great applications and to engage in conversations with other community organizations and companies or private organizations who are willing to partner with the rest of the community to solve our food access issues. And we'll be happy to take any questions from members of the media. Thank you.
So this is still waiting city council approval yet?
Yeah. So there's a $400,000 appropriation that the council will have to approve. I'm confident they will. We've talked with all of them about this program, the need for this program. Dr. Chima hits on a real important point, though, is that this is not meant to supplement a Faith Temple food giveaway or a Feeding South Dakota efforts. Those will continue to go. So let's say Feeding South Dakota said, well, we want to put a satellite location here. That's really not what this is about. This is about creating a commerce, economy, a sustainable model so that these people in these food desert areas don't have to wait for the food drive on Fridays or have to wait. We need to create an economy that can work. And to some organizations, you look like at Andy's or Affiliated Foods or some of these smaller grocers, $200,000-$300,000 for land acquisition or building acquisition goes a long way in maybe making their business model sustainable and maybe the push they may need to expand into another market. So we'll be bringing this to the council in the next two meetings or next meeting. Yeah, tonight, and then with the second reading beginning of next month. So.
And then what would the time period be using before they can apply for receive this money? As soon as they're approved, the 22nd of May. You can answer that.
Okay. Yeah. No. So actually, the first reading was done 2 weeks ago. So today is second reading, and hopefully in the application.
Yes, I
Yeah.
apologize.
Yeah, no, elections have been. Absolutely. So, so tonight is the second reading at the council, and once we're done with the council process, the application will be available, and look forward to receiving great applications and kind of engaging in those conversations with the community to find the best solutions to address these issues. Yeah.
I think Kellen had a debate the first reading, and I wasn't at the meeting.
Yes, absolutely.
Assuming this is approved, who specifically is in charge of saying, yep, this is a great idea, here's $50,000?
Yes, that's a great question. So we're putting together a multi-department committee across the city. So we're involving the planning and development, the city finance department, the health department, obviously, and as well as community members. So we are, in conversations with members from the Sioux Falls Food Council. So to see that there's that community representation in evaluating the quality of applications and having these conversations.
Other questions?
I don't think it ever came up in the mayoral race, but certainly a couple of your the folks in the council candidates talked about another issue they had with something that they talked about repealing the grocery tax, and whether that was on a state level or a city level pushing to the state level. Any interest in that as a part of looking to increase food access?
They tried to do it in the state this year. It didn't happen in the legislature. I'm going to let the legislature work on that issue if they feel it's the right issue to pursue. I'll be totally honest, I probably am not real strong either way on that. I can see the benefit of that. No one likes to pay taxes, but in a state where we're only taxed at 6.5% with no other revenue sources, that will have a pretty big effect on other services that we can deliver if we repeal that tax. So we have to be aware of that no one wants to pay tax. I'd love to repeal them all, but then what services are we going to cut accordingly? So, for instance, Charles talked about one aspect of this is food service. Well, we need transportation and other things. So if we want more transit, we need more money. So if we cut it on one side, we've created a problem on the other side, deficit spending somewhere else. So I think those are the things you have to be cognizant of. All right. Thanks for being here today.